Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining this interview with someone I am so thrilled, honored, and privileged to sit down with. My name is Kelly Adams, and I'm the founder of Christ Centered Leadership Network, and we're hosting a Young Leaders Arising Conference March 12th to the 14th in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And I have with me someone who I absolutely adore, Jaron Waring, who will be one of the speakers at the conference. And I've had the privilege, I guess I would call it a privilege, to watch Jaron transition from college to young adult to husband to father of four amazing children, and also come into a new place of leadership and ministry. And so I think it's going to be fantastic what he pours into the conference. And I want to jump right into it and kind of talk about that, Jaron. You know, we've had a long ride now. So you're a leader now, but you weren't then. So can you kind of talk to us about that emerging leader process?
Yeah, so when I met Kelly, I was in college, me and my wife, before we got married. We spent a lot of time going to Kelly's. I visited the church. I had my own home church, so I spent a lot of time visiting different events they would have. I got to interact with Kelly on a more personal level and really got to know her as a person. So the kind of transition from being that college free willed person to now trying to really establish myself as a leader in ministry has been a challenge. If I do say so myself, it's hard to transition from being focusing on yourself to now trying to be an example for your peers and making sure that you're taking care of your family and making sure that you're performing in a job because I have a career that I'm trying to build. So just everything has been uh, a lot of learning, a lot of lessons, a lot of rebukes. Me and Kelly have had millions of conversations about what ministry looks like and coming out of the things that I grew up learning to now step into the role that I'm in today of being a youth leader at PHOP and the different things that I'm in now. So yeah, it's definitely been challenging but very rewarding, and I've definitely learned a lot. So
Well, I can tell you firsthand that we there have been so many benefits of you stepping into the role of leadership. The way that you lead, and you do lead by example. But like you said, it's not always easy. It's challenging because it's a self-centered space that we all have been in to now a God-centered space that we're in, where we actually have to be concerned about the ministry. So that kind of talks about the heart of the ministry. I know in our dealings, we often talked about the heart of the ministry, and we don't have to go so deep into how the rebukes happened or, because I'm sure they were very soft. I'm sure it was like a gentle parenting. But can you talk to me about what the heart of the ministry looks like? Because I know you'll be discussing that at the conference.
yeah, so the heart of the ministry is always being obedient to the voice of God. Um, Being uncomfortable is very common. A lot of times, I'll find myself having to do things like this, for example, where I'm not. I don't like public speaking per se. I don't like always just going in front of people or having to teach, but obeying the voice of God. If you're called to do something, making sure that you, one, have your heart in it. God doesn't want anything that's just kind of half-hearted. So, um, making sure that your heart's in it, making sure that you are equipping yourself. So, making sure that you're taking care of yourself spiritually, physically, emotionally, just making sure that you're prepared to help others because you can't help others if you're constantly trying to battle with what's within yourself and you've never been able to go through self deliverance or be able to figure out your kind of internal uh, issues that can either rub off on someone. It may prevent you from being a real help to someone. In a
Mhm.
sense, you'll be more of a hindrance. So being able to really take what you learned from your studies, from what I've talked to different leaders about, and being able to just serve is really the ultimate goal. Taking self out of it and putting other people's needs and things ahead of your own. So that's what I say. The heart of the ministry really is putting yourself kind of on the back burner. Always take care of yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but really making sure that you're setting that example that Christ would want you to be.
That's beautiful. Now, you're going to be talking to the emerging leaders. So there are two different pathways that will be introduced at this conference: the emerging leader, and then the leaders and builders, those that are already kind of working in youth ministry and building up other leaders. So you're talking to those that feel the call to serve, but they don't quite understand what it looks like. They don't recognize it maybe as a call, maybe a tug. And can you talk to the audience about how do you know if this is for you how do you know that you're an emerging leader?
You'll feel a pull and a desire. You'll find yourself kind of going out of your way to do things in ministry that you never thought you would do. You'll your heart will just be in it in a sense, and a lot of the decisions that you make that you would think would be difficult, you'll have a overwhelming sense of peace with. So um, I keep going back to this conference as an example. At first, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, I can get out of this because I just recently had twins. So I was like, I could tell Kelly I just need to kind of go with the kids, or we have something to do. But um, I felt the conviction in a sense in my heart, like this is a next step in my path of kind of growing into the leader that God's called me to be. So making sure that I'm obedient to the voice of God has really been on my mind heavy lately. There's a lot of decisions that I have to make. There's a lot of decisions that a younger emerging leader will have to make that sometimes you're just like, is this really what I want to do? And if you hear the voice of God tell you that this is something you need to do, then you need to obey it. But if you're always trying to push things off and not really heeding to that, it can affect you in your personal life in ways you won't even imagine. God always gets his way one way or another. So I've been on the back end of being defiant and being rebellious to things. So um, yeah, the conviction within your heart will definitely pull you towards where you need to go, and you'll know you're on the right path because you'll have a overwhelming sense of peace about your decision that you made.
That's great. Thank you for that. I do want to say, because you mentioned that you had twins, I know that during the conference we'll talk about the multifaceted leader, the leader that has to juggle their work, their family, and ministry. And it's so easy to say, I just don't have time for that. Or it's not, God can't be asking me to do this right now because I've got all these other things. But you have a job, you have a job that's pretty demanding. You have four children, four and under. And you have a beautiful wife, and you're heavily involved in ministry. So, can you talk to us about what that might look like, and maybe give us two nuggets of only two that you would offer, because you'll offer the rest of them at the conference to get past those stops. Those stops of I don't have time.
Yeah, I think a major thing is if you're married, always consult, of course, with the Lord, but consulting with your spouse with a lot of the decisions that you make will oftentimes point you in the direction that you need to go. A lot of times, I was considering like different jobs and taking on different, I guess, extracurricular activities in a sense. And I would always talk to my wife before I did them just to get some insight, and so that we were kind of a cohesive unit, so that we were on
Mhm.
one accord with what was going on. So a major thing for me is always, if I'm going to make a decision, how will it first affect my family? That's number one. But then my second thing is always making sure that it doesn't pull away from me having time for the ministry. So um, a perfect example of this is I was getting a new position at work, and the hours were pushing me into times that we had prayer, we have Bible study, and I was having to miss those things because my schedule went from being 8 to 5, so I was able to get to church by 6, but now it was pushed back from to 9:30 to 6:30, and I was just like, look, this isn't going to work, and I was like, I may have to leave my job, but then I'm like, oh, I have a family, I got to make sure I have benefits, make sure I'm taking care of my house, so I actually had to find a way to get my schedule changed because I didn't have the seniority that a lot of people had. So I put a request in, um, was very prayerful about it, and put a request in to get my schedule changed. And the favor that God showed me with getting that changed proved to me that all decisions always need to follow that kind of order that I just stated. That's my conviction. That's my story.
Mhm.
But that's definitely what's helped me remain in ministry while also juggling having a family, making sure that I have time to um, not only succeed at work within my family, but making sure that whatever I do outside of those two things is not pulling me away from time with God, so that I could attend Bible study, so that I don't miss church, so that I don't get pulled away. I'm also on the praise and worship team, making sure that I can still make practices. So, yeah, those are kind of the main things that I focus on when making any life decision. Family, of course, consulting my wife, and then um, always making sure that the schedule that thing or that extracurricular is going to have does not coincide or interfere with my ministry.
That's beautiful. So what it sounds like is that the Lord has given you a system for balance. And you recognize that he's given you a family that you have to take care of. And so you consult with your family, with your wife, and then also you're like, well, whatever we're about to do, I want to make sure that it wouldn't pull me away from my duties or the commitments that I've made with the Lord. So it doesn't sound like I don't have time. It's Lord, show me how to work this time and how to create a balance. Is that what I'm hearing you
Yeah,
say?
yeah,
Okay. All right. That's amazing. Now that type of time management is something that everybody can benefit from because most people just look at their current circumstances and they just really choose the things they want to do. I don't know how many people get opportunities and say, oh, well, wait, they might consult with their family, right? But how is this going to interfere with all the things that I know I need to be involved in at church? Because some people would say, Bible study, I can miss those because this is a blessing from the Lord, but to be able to sit back and say, God, is this a decision that you want me to make? Is a good decision for my family, but it's hindering the ministry. So can you show me how to work this or provide me opportunity to ask for a change? And then he just responded. So it's very responsible of you as a husband and spiritually responsible of you. I'm so proud. Who's your mentor? No, I'm just joking. But speaking of mentorship, because when I met you through your wife. And I know that, I kind of came off to you super aggressive, like, well, you're with her, so you with me. Like, how did you how did you handle the submission? Because I was the leader at the time. I was the youth department leader, the director, and your wife was serving, and then here you come, getting to the place of serving. How did you handle that submission? Because you had a church that you were with. It was your grandfather's church.
yeah. It was. I definitely would say it was a difficult decision. At the time, my grandfather had passed, and my grandmother had took over as pastor, and um, it was a trying time, if I do say so myself. I spent a lot of time thinking about what was best for me growth wise within the ministry. And because I had such a deep relationship, kind of growing relationship, it wasn't deep at the time with you. It pushed me to make a decisive, this is what I'm going to do decision to come over to P-Hop and really kind of hone in on what God was calling me to do. It was um, just thinking about it, it really was a crazy time in life. But if I can have the question one more time, what was your exact question?
Well, I was just saying, how did you handle the transition of submitting to new leadership? Because you had, listen, you're a PK. So it's different, and you and I actually connected on that. I could understand a lot of the different thoughts that you had because you served under your grandfather, but you knew church. If you didn't know anything else, you knew church. Doesn't necessarily mean you were active or you were doing everything you were supposed to do, much like me when I was younger. But I knew church because I grew up in it and I had my father as an example. So then for the Lord to kind of introduce you to another ministry and ask you to do some things over there, how did you handle that submission to a new ministry?
Um, Prayer and um, hmm, submission. Because I mean, honestly, it was a battle where I had to go through real deliverance. I had uh, coming in, I had a lot of authority issues. I didn't, not that I didn't respect authority, but I would always challenge it in a sense. So, come into a new space where I respected, I respected you, I respected Pastor and First Lady. Um, the real, I guess, uh, problem within myself was, do I accept these people as leaders, or are they just like a secondary family to me? And it honestly took my grandfather passing and recently my father passing for me to fully say, for me to realize that God was taking out the natural leaders in my life, that I grew up and knew, so that I could really hone in and step under real leadership and be able to submit wholeheartedly. Like, I had my natural father, and I always was on the side of, oh, he's my dad. I don't need another man to try to tell me what to do. But once he passed, I really had to realize, like, he always told me he wasn't always going to be there, but I have these men and leaders in my life that I could really rely on. So the deliverance I had to go through to kind of say to myself, okay, let me be able to go to a pastor, for example, with the issue that I'm having, and really seek that fatherly counsel, or be able to listen to any type of rebukes he gave, or be able to come to you and now admit that you're a spiritual mother of mine, was something that I battled with, just because of the um, I don't know the right word to use, but like the, I guess, rebellious spirit that was within me, that was like, no, I don't really need them. Like, I have my family, I have people that have been a part of my life for however many years, and these are just new people trying to come in. Was a real struggle. That prayer time, reading through scriptures, and also talks with my wife. She told me, like, look, we have these people that you can rely on. You feel like you always have to take things on yourself. You always have to try to figure it out. But you don't have to. You have people that can guide you in the right direction. You just have to accept them for who they are. And between the prayer, speaking to, of course, prayer, reading my scriptures, and talking to my wife, it kind of pushed me in the direction of, okay, now I can finally go to these individuals and rely on them. Iron sharpens iron, and we need people, we need good counsel when we're trying to go through ministry. Like, I had friends and family and everyone that could tell me the worldly things, but I wasn't accepting the spiritual help that I really was seeking for. So, yeah, it was just a personal deliverance for me that I had to go through to kind of accept real guidance and submit to authority that I wasn't familiar with.
You know, Jaron, thank you for your transparency and honesty. And I think that the audience will greatly benefit. Those that are coming, the emerging leaders will greatly benefit from just your heart posture in that, because that's a real thing. Whether you're a young leader or just in ministry, period, transitioning to another voice that God is sending you to, it can be very difficult. And the sin nature in us, which is this flesh, would want to be like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, and it does require a level of just transparency and self deliverance where I've got to kind of pull back. I've got to bring this down because God has me here for a reason. And everything is 2020 hindsight. Certainly, both of us can see exactly why God placed you where you are, because you're such an incredible young man. Like, I can just, and I tell you this all the time, the leadership that's on you, the places that you're going to go. I'm just so grateful that the Lord has allowed us to be a place, just one of the many places that you'll be, to just sow into that. um, I want to ask you this final question. What do you hope to bring to the conference that someone can take away? Like, what's a takeaway that you hope that someone will take from what you have to say specifically?
Um, I would say for me, I would want someone to realize that uh, they are not alone. You do have the Lord is always with you. You can always pray. You can always rely on Him. But He places people around you that can help bring you up and really hone in on your leadership skills and pull things out of you that you probably didn't even know you had within you. Um, I think a lot about how I came into this ministry, and in my head, I was just going to be Jaron. I was just going to sit in the pews and um, sing some songs and just do uh, kind of the base, I guess, Christian living. And as I came in and I started talking, I want people to realize that you can come into a ministry and expect to be one way, but under good leadership, you'll be able to uh, really hone in, and your gifts will be pulled out, regardless of what you think your life will look like, regardless of what you feel you should be doing. Um, you'll always, under good leadership, be able to really be who God called you to be. So if I had to kind of sum it up, I would say you are. Um, if I had to sum it up, I would say that you're not alone. You have, um, if you have good leadership, you a good pastor, you will be able to succeed and be able to um, do things that you never thought imaginable. I never thought that I would lead a praise and worship song. I never thought that I would be able to help lead conferences. I never thought that I would be able to help lead a summer camp. There's things that I was like, I'll never be able to do that through conversation and through really submitting to authority, that I was able to kind of step into roles that I never thought I would be able to do, that have kind of shaped into who I am today and have built a different level of confidence in me to be able to really go out and help people that feel they can't, that people that feel like they're alone, people that feel like they don't have someone that's in a similar situation. We spoke about it before. I'm a father of four. I have a career. I have a wife. I have all these different things that I have to try to balance. So knowing that you have people there, people that love you, and people that will challenge you despite what's going on in your personal life, um, is what I want people to pull away from the conference. That they have people, that they have someone they can rely on.
That's beautiful. So I can't wait to see the tools and resources that you will be bringing, sir, to help them understand that community is important and that surrounding yourself around people who have the heart of the ministry can only help sharpen you. As he said many times, and as the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. Jaron, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I want to thank you so much for agreeing to helping with this Young Leaders Arising Conference. This is just the beginning for you, sir. And I'm just glad to be a part of your journey. Thank you all for watching. And we'll see you hopefully March 12th to the 14th. You can go to YL Arise, like Young Leaders Arise, ylarise.org and register. Be blessed.